Imagine this. You're driving home after a long day, exhausted, thinking only of your children waiting for you. The road is dark, empty, and cold. You just want to get home. But then, out of nowhere, you see something that changes everything. A wrecked police car, smoke rising, and inside, a woman, barely, breathing, a stranger, a dying cop. What would you do? Would you stop? Would you risk your own life for someone you've never met? Tonight's story is not about power, money, or fame. It's about one man, a father of 5, who proved that real strength doesn't come from wealth or status. It comes from compassion, from doing what's right even when no one is watching. Ethan Walker wasn't a hero. He was a tired worker, a man struggling to feed his children. But that night, when everyone else would have driven past, he stopped. He carried a dying woman in his arms. He gave her a second chance at life. And what happened after shocked the entire police force. This story will remind you that every act of kindness creates a ripple in the world, one that can come back to you in ways you'd never imagine. Because when you give without expecting, life finds its own way to reward you. Before we begin, take a deep breath. Think about this. If you were Ethan, poor, tired, alone, would you still stop? Would you still help? If this story moves you, if it reminds you of the kind of world we should all live in, then I invite you right now to be part of this message. Subscribe to the channel, leave a comment below saying where you're watching from, and share this video with someone who needs to believe in kindness again. Because sometimes, one story can change the way we see humanity. And maybe, just maybe, it can inspire someone, somewhere, to stop and help the next time they see someone in need. Now, let's begin. This is the story of a father of 5, and the night that changed his life forever. The night that changed everything. It was a cold night on the outskirts of the city. The wind carried dust and the faint smell of rain. Ethan Walker, a father of 5, was driving his old pickup truck back from a double shift at the construction site. His hands were rough, his back ached, but his heart was full. He wasn't rich, but he was proud of the little he had. Every dollar he earned meant food, clothes, and a roof over his children's heads. The road was empty and dark, lit only by the weak glow of the headlights. Ethan hummed quietly to stay awake. It was almost midnight when something caught his eye, a flicker of light off the road near the forest line. At first, he thought it was an animal, but as he slowed down, his headlights revealed something terrifying. A police car crashed against a tree, smoke rising from the hood. Ethan stopped the truck, jumped out, and ran toward it. "Hello? Is anyone there?" he shouted, his voice trembling. There was no answer, just the sound of a faint radio transmission and the hiss of steam. He pulled open the door, and his heart froze. A woman, a police officer, blood covered her uniform. Her face was pale, her breathing shallow. "God," Ethan whispered. "Stay with me?" He tore off his jacket and pressed it against her wound. She winced but didn't speak. Her lips moved weakly. "Back up." "Didn't come," she murmured before her head dropped to the side. Ethan looked around. No one was coming, no sirens, just silence and darkness. He had no medical training, but he had something else, a father's instinct to protect life. "You're not dying tonight," he said, voice shaking. He picked her up carefully, her body limp in his arms, carried her to his truck. He laid her on the passenger seat, adjusted her head, and drove faster than he ever had. "Stay with me, officer." "What's your name?" He yelled, but she didn't answer. He checked her pulse with one hand, steering with the other. Every second felt like an hour. His thoughts raced. If I lose her, if she dies before I get there. He looked at the dashboard, half a tank of gas. "Come on, old girl," he said to the truck. "Don't fail me now." After 15 long minutes, he reached a small rural hospital. He ran inside, shouting for help. Nurses rushed out, bringing a stretcher. "She's a cop," he shouted. "She's been shot or stabbed. I don't know." The emergency team took her in, and Ethan stood outside the operating room, covered in blood, not hers, but from trying to save her. Hours passed. Ethan sat in the corridor, silent, exhausted. His phone buzzed. It was his oldest daughter. "Emily, Dad, are you coming home?" she asked sleepily. "It's late." Ethan took a deep breath. "I will, sweetheart. I had to help someone." "Okay, Daddy, be safe." When the doctor finally came out, his face was unreadable. "She's alive, thanks to you," he said. "If you hadn't brought her here. When you did, she would have bled out." Ethan exhaled in relief. "Can I see her?" "Not yet," the doctor said. "She lost a lot of blood. But you should know she's a high-ranking officer. The police will want to talk to you." "High-ranking?" Ethan repeated, surprised. He had thought she was just a patrol officer. The doctor nodded. "Lieutenant Olivia Hart. She's one of the youngest female commanders in the force." Ethan blinked, still processing. "I just did what anyone would do," he murmured. But the doctor gave a small smile. "No, sir. Not anyone would have done that." By morning, the hospital was surrounded by police cars and reporters. Ethan didn't want attention. He just wanted to go home to his kids. But as he stepped out of the waiting area, cameras turned toward him. "Sir, are you the man who saved Lieutenant Hart?" one reporter shouted. Ethan froze. I just helped," he said quietly, trying to leave. But soon, officers approached. "Sir, the commissioner wants to speak with you." In the commissioner's office, the air was tense. "Mr. Walker," said a tall man with gray hair, "we owe you a great debt. You saved one of our finest officers." Ethan looked down. "I only did what was right." Anyone would have done it. The commissioner studied him for a moment. No, many would have driven past. "You didn't." He extended his hand. "The city thanks you." Ethan shook his hand, feeling uncomfortable. He wasn't used to being praised. "Please, I just want to go home to my children." As he left the station later that day, a police officer ran after him. "Sir, wait," Ethan turned. It was a young cop, holding a small note. "Lieutenant Hart wanted you to have this." Ethan unfolded the note. It said, in shaky handwriting, "Thank you for giving me a second chance at life. I won't forget." He folded it gently and tucked it into his pocket. For the first time in years, Ethan felt something deep inside hope. He didn't know it yet, but this simple act of kindness would soon turn his whole world upside down. The unexpected visit. 3 weeks passed since that cold night. Ethan had returned to his normal life, waking up before sunrise, packing lunch for his kids, and heading out to work. The story of the mystery man who saved a female police officer had already faded from the news, replaced by other tragedies. Ethan was grateful for that. He didn't like attention. He was just trying to make ends meet. But fate wasn't done with him. It was a quiet Sunday morning. His youngest son, Liam, was playing with toy cars on the floor while Ethan fixed the leaking kitchen sink. Suddenly, there was a knock at the door. Not the usual kind. Firm, rhythmic, official. Ethan frowned, wiped his hands, and opened it. 2 police officers stood outside and behind them. A woman in uniform, her face still pale but alive. Lieutenant Olivia Hart. Ethan froze. "Ma'am," she smiled faintly. "Mr. Walker, may I come in?" Ethan nodded, still stunned. "Of course." He moved aside, and Olivia entered, looking Around the modest home filled with signs of a large family, children's drawings on the fridge, laundry folded in baskets, the smell of coffee in the air. "You live here with your kids?" she asked. "Yes, ma'am," Ethan said. "5 of them. My wife passed away 3 years ago." Olivia's expression softened. "I'm sorry for your loss." "Thank you." He tried to hide the nervousness in his voice. "I didn't expect to see you again." Olivia looked at him with quiet intensity. "I wouldn't be alive if not for you. I came to say thank you in person." She paused. "And to repay you in some way?" Ethan shook his head immediately. "No need, ma'am. I didn't do it for that. You were in danger. Anyone would have done the same." But Olivia's gaze didn't waver. "Maybe, but not everyone would have risked their life to save a stranger." Liam ran up, hiding behind his father's leg. Olivia smiled warmly. "And who is this brave young man?" "This is Liam," Ethan said proudly. "The youngest." Olivia knelt to his level. "Hi, Liam. Your dad is a hero. You know that?" Liam grinned shyly. "He's my superhero," he whispered. Ethan's throat tightened. "All right, go play, buddy." Olivia stood again, looking around. "Mr. Walker, I know you're a humble man, but I want to help. You've been working double shifts, haven't you?" Ethan frowned. "How did you?" She smiled. "We checked the hospital records. You came straight from work that night. You didn't even go home first." He sighed. "I just did what was right." Olivia reached into her coat and pulled out an envelope. "Please take this." Ethan hesitated. "What is it?" "Just a small gesture of gratitude," she said. "From the department. And from me personally." He opened it slightly. Inside were several $1,000s. His hands trembled. "I can't accept this." "You can," Olivia said firmly. "And you will. You deserve it." Ethan looked down at the money, then at her. "You don't understand. I don't want charity." Olivia shook her head. "This isn't charity. This is respect." There was silence for a moment, a kind that carried both pride and pain. Then Olivia spoke again. "We're short of good men in our community programs, people who know what real responsibility means. Would you consider working with us? You'd help young men, teach them discipline and courage. We need someone like you." Ethan blinked. "Me? Work with the police?" "Yes," she said. "It's not about badges or authority. It's about impact." He thought for a long time. "I'll think about it." Olivia smiled. "That's all I ask." When she left, Ethan sat on the couch, staring at the envelope. His children ran around laughing, unaware that their father's life had just taken a turn. He placed the envelope in a drawer and whispered to himself, maybe things can change. The following week, Ethan received a call from the police department. "Mr. Walker, this is Officer Ramirez. Lieutenant Hart asked me to remind you about the community program. Would you come in for a meeting?" Ethan hesitated. "I'm not sure I'm the right guy for this." Ramirez chuckled. "That's exactly why you are." Ethan laughed softly. "All right, I'll come." When he arrived at the precinct, he felt out of place among the uniforms and polished floors. Olivia greeted him with a warm smile. "Ethan, I'm glad you came." She introduced him to the team, a group of officers who ran mentorship programs for troubled youth. They showed him around, explained how they worked with kids who had been arrested for minor crimes, theft, vandalism, fighting. "Most of them just need guidance," Olivia said. "Someone who understands struggle. Someone like you." Ethan listened carefully, something stirring inside him. "I know what it's like to feel lost," he admitted. "If I can help them find their way." "I'll do it," Olivia smiled. "Welcome aboard, Mr. Walker." Weeks passed, and Ethan began working with the department's outreach team. He met teenagers with broken homes, anger, and pain in their eyes. He didn't preach. He just listened. He told them about his own struggles, about losing his wife, about working hard, about never giving up. Slowly, they started to trust him. One boy named Marcus reminded him of his own. Eldest son, rebellious but good-hearted. "You ever been hungry, Mr. Walker?" Marcus asked one afternoon. Ethan nodded. "Too many times, but hunger teaches you what you're made of." Marcus frowned. "Nobody ever cared about me." Ethan placed a hand on his shoulder. "Then I'll be the first." That day, something shifted in Ethan. He realized that what he had done for the dying officer wasn't just saving a life. It was the beginning of saving many. One evening, as he was leaving the community center, Olivia stopped him. "You're making a difference, Ethan. The boys respect you." Even the chief noticed. Ethan smiled humbly. "I'm just doing my part." Olivia looked at him for a long moment. "Do you believe in fate?" He thought for a moment. "I believe we meet the people we're meant to help." She nodded softly. Then maybe that's what happened that night. He didn't know what to say. But deep down, he felt it too. Their lives had crossed for a reason. The reward of kindness. Months passed, and Ethan became a symbol of quiet strength in the community. The man who once struggled to provide for his 5 children was now changing lives. He wasn't rich in money, but he was rich in purpose. Every morning he woke before dawn, packed lunches, dropped the kids at school, and then spent his days helping young men who reminded him of himself, people who had fallen but still had a chance to rise. Lieutenant Olivia Hart often watched him during sessions, amazed by his patience. The boys listened too. Him really listened, something they rarely did with anyone else. His words carried the kind of truth that couldn't be faked. It came from pain, love, and experience. One afternoon, Olivia found him sitting outside the community center, lost in thought. "You look tired," she said gently. He smiled. "Tired, yes, but it's a good kind of tired." She sat beside him. "You've done a lot for these kids, Ethan. The department wants to make your position official, full-time, with benefits." Ethan blinked. "You mean a real job? With the force?" Olivia nodded. "Yes, you've earned it." He couldn't speak. For a moment, his eyes watered. "I don't know what to say." "Just say yes." He laughed softly. "Then yes." Weeks later, Ethan stood in front of his children, wearing a crisp blue uniform, not as a police officer, but as a certified community officer under the department. His kids clapped and cheered. "Daddy looks like a superhero," Liam shouted. Ethan chuckled. "I'm no superhero, son. Just a man who got lucky enough to help others." But inside, he knew it wasn't luck. It was a reminder that kindness always finds its way back. That night, a storm hit the city. Thunder rolled, rain poured, and the streets were empty. Ethan was locking up the center when his phone rang. It was Olivia. "Ethan," her voice was urgent, "one of the youth centers downtown has been attacked. Some of our boys are trapped inside. We're heading there now." "I'm coming," Ethan said without hesitation. "Ethan, it's dangerous." "I'm coming." He hung up, grabbed his keys, and drove into the storm. When he arrived, chaos surrounded the building. Police cars, flashing lights, shouting officers. Smoke poured from a small fire at the entrance. Olivia was there, trying to organize the scene. 2 boys inside. She yelled over the noise. "They won't come out." Ethan's heart raced. "Marcus?" Olivia nodded grimly. "Yes, he's refusing to leave without his friend." Ethan didn't think twice. "I'm going in." "Ethan, no!" Olivia shouted. "You're not trained for," but he was already running toward the door. Inside, the air was thick with smoke. "Marcus," he shouted, It's Ethan. Where are you? A faint voice replied, Back here. Ethan followed the sound, coughing, his eyes burning. He found the boys huddled in a corner, one of them crying. Come on, we have to move. I can't leave him, Marcus shouted. He's hurt. Ethan lifted the injured boy onto his shoulders. Then we go together. Step by step, they pushed through the smoke. The heat was unbearable, but he kept going. Almost there. He yelled. Suddenly, a beam cracked and fell, blocking their path. Ethan shielded the boys with his body. Pain shot through his arm, but he didn't stop. He pushed the beam aside and forced open a window. Go, he shouted. Out the window. Marcus climbed out first, then pulled the injured boy through. Ethan followed, collapsing into the wet grass outside. The crowd cheered as firefighters rushed in. Olivia ran to him. Ethan, are you okay? He coughed, smiling weakly. I told you, I'm coming. She laughed through tears. You're insane? He grinned. Maybe, but those boys have a future now. The next morning, the story spread like wildfire. Father of 5 saves teens from fire. News outlets picked it up across the country. But Ethan didn't want fame. He just wanted peace. A week later, he was invited to the city hall for an award ceremony. Olivia stood beside him on the stage as the mayor spoke. Today, we honor a man who has shown that true heroism is not about badges or titles, but about heart. Ethan Walker, your courage has inspired us all. The crowd applauded as Ethan received a medal. Cameras flashed, but he kept his eyes down, humble as always. When it was Olivia's turn to speak, her voice trembled with emotion. Months ago, this man saved my life, she said. I was broken and bleeding. And he carried me when no one else was there. Today, he carries an entire generation on his shoulders. Ethan Walker didn't just save me. He saved us all. Tears filled the room. Ethan looked at her, deeply moved. You give me too much credit, he whispered. Olivia smiled. No, I'm giving you the truth. After the ceremony, Ethan returned home. His children had decorated the house with handmade banners. We love you, Dad. They hugged him tightly, one by one. For the first time in years, Ethan felt complete. That night, he sat by the window, watching the city lights. The medal lay on the table beside. The old note Olivia had written months ago, the one that said, Thank you for giving me a second chance at life. He smiled softly. Funny thing about second chances, he murmured. Sometimes they come back around. Just then, a car stopped outside. Olivia stepped out, holding a folder. Ethan, she called, I have something for you. He opened the door, curious. What's this? She handed him the folder. Inside was a letter, official, stamped, and signed. It was a promotion offer. You're being recommended for the city's humanitarian board, Olivia explained. You'll help shape youth programs. Across the state, Ethan was speechless. Me? You, she said, smiling, because good men deserve good things. He looked at her, then at the stars. I never asked for any of this. I know, Olivia said softly. That's why you deserve it. Ethan's eyes filled with tears. Thank you, Olivia. She smiled. No, thank you. They stood there in silence, 2 souls connected by fate, the woman he saved and the man who learned that saving others can also save yourself. And as the night settled over the quiet street, Ethan whispered to himself, Kindness doesn't cost a thing, but it changes everything.